This podcast is being powered by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
And the comments were so bad. I was literally like, every time I refreshed my inbox, I kept getting new comments. And it kept bullying me. And there was like some times where someone told me to like hang myself and stuff like that. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to Mentally a Badass. My name is Justine, and I have my friend Violet on the podcast here today. So I do like to bring people from different backgrounds. So she is from Las Vegas on the West Coast, and she's so bubbly, which is awesome, which matches my energy.
Yes, I love Justine. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mentally a Badass. So excited to be here today.
You're so cute. I love it. So today's topic, we're going to actually talk about basically confidence and being free from not caring about what people think. So her and I, we had a conversation on the side talking about how we both have overcome that. And so we do want to chat about that because her and I have both, noticed that a lot of people, like our friends or just people that are around us that are currently going through that challenge, which is completely okay. So we're just going to talk about our own personal experience and how we overcame that. So Violet, let's start with you.
Okay, let's just dive right in. So I could say that since my freshman year of high school, I've experienced, I've gone through anxiety, depression. I've been diagnosed multiple times. With anxiety, it's obviously being like 14 years old and just experiencing it, I wasn't too sure of what it was and how it plays such a huge part, and all these other things come along with it. Everybody's experience is different, but I've experienced the confidence aspect, like being young and in high school, everybody cared about what everybody thought. Like everybody had to have the nicest clothes or the coolest shoes or the coolest backpack, which is just like so much and overwhelming for me. So I always wanted to meet the standards of everybody else, and I cared so much of what people thought about me. I cared about my appearance. I thought, okay, I have to wake up, do my makeup every day for school, do my hair every day for school. I have to wear the same type of clothes that everybody else wore. And that was just so draining, knowing that like every day I was waking up doing this not for myself but for other people, just for what they thought. And then probably about 2 years into high school, when I was in my junior year, I went through a lot of like family problems and family trauma, which just caused a whole lot of depression. Within that time, I stopped caring what other people thought and more so started caring about what I thought of myself. So I stopped wearing makeup to school. I stopped getting dressed for school. And I would just show up in like slides and some sweats and my hair tied up. And I just remember being at that time, even though I was depressed and going through all these things, that part of not caring what people thought lifted such a huge weight off of my shoulders, knowing I don't have to worry what others think, and all that really matters is what you think of yourself and how you view yourself. So that was a good turning point right there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I actually have a question. In high school, were you considered like a popular person or someone who was like an outsider? Like, I'm very curious. Who basically who you were in high school?
That's a good question. I think I was very well known. I don't think I was considered popular because I did come from a different school and a whole different side of town. And then I moved to a new school where all this began. And it was like I went from going from like a poor ghetto school to this rich Mormon school. And so I was definitely the outcast because everyone was like, oh, the new girl, she's way different than that. So I was well known, but since I wasn't involved, like I didn't go to parties or I wasn't going to the football games, I wasn't popular.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I was just wondering on that, and I can relate to that. I moved schools multiple times. It was mostly in like my grade school era. So
Mhm.
I moved schools in second grade because my sister, she graduated from, she went to high school. So my sister, that's not my sister, my mom didn't want to drive like to that certain school. I went to Catholic school my whole life.
Oh
And I
wow.
used to go to school that was like 20, 30 minutes, well, which is really 20, 30 minutes. My mom doesn't take highway, so it was really 60 minutes that it took to get to school like almost every morning. So now, since only one kid had to go to that school, she's like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. So she transferred me to a different school that was closer, which was actually a school that I got really bullied in, where
Oh,
people were like, call me ugly, weird, annoying, whatever. That was like the school that like traumatized me pretty much.
yeah.
And then I had to transfer school. So I transferred out of that school because of the bullying, because no one was doing anything about it. And I was just, I think I was hitting fifth grade, and it's just like I couldn't deal with the bullying
Yeah.
constantly. So my mom switched me to another school that actually is closer. Um, but I think the school that I only went to because my mom's good friends' kids went there. So that's why only reason I went to that particular school. So I think when I transferred to another school, I knew this girl from like, I think softball or something like that. So
Right.
that's when I went to that school. And then honestly, from all that trauma I dealt with, when I was in that school, I cared so much about what people thought about me.
Of
I
course.
swear, I think I developed a little PTSD. I remember. And when you remember things clearly, that's when you know it really like it
Affected you.
affected you. Was that I was in the gym, like during gym class or whatever, I don't even know. And then I was still the new kid, I was fairly new, and I saw like a group of kids just chit chatting, right? And I just assumed it was about me. Assumed.
Right.
And I will never
Mhm.
forget that day where I literally would feel anxiety. Like, just my body would
Oh.
get anxious because I was fearing that it was going to happen again. The people were going to start talking about me. And then it's like I have to move schools again. And it was just literally like something that kids shouldn't have to go through. It's like we're there to go to school and to learn. But like
And to be able to
knowing
focus.
exactly. And it's like waking up and going to a school when you're just constantly being mistreated. It's like, it's horrible. And I think that's a lot of it has to do with like my depression, anxiety today. And I actually am very happy that I healed from it, because I was also caring so much about what people thought about me in high school. Well, to a certain extent, like I was
Yeah.
still getting bullied in high school, but I wasn't really getting bullied face to face. This is when like social media started becoming more of a thing.
Mhm.
And so people would bully me on this website called Formspring. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, actually, I forgot you're kind of a younger than me, so I think you're more of we are actually in different generations. Well, kind of. I guess we're technically kind of different generations.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to social media, we are. So
Mhm.
yeah, when I was in high school, there was this thing called Formspring.me. It's what the website was, and whoever made it like wasn't thinking straight, and I think they got sued or whatever, because the website was set up as to like asking anonymous questions, like a Q&A kind of thing.
Right.
So, of course, this is anonymous. This gives an opportunity for people to bully, because they can say what they want and the person can't know who it is.
Mhm.
So, I got a lot of hate from that. And actually, it was like really disgusting how I kept going back to it. It was kind of like
Right.
I was caring so much. I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, man, I really cared so much. I kept going back, and the
Yeah.
comments were so bad. I was literally like, every time I refreshed my inbox, I kept getting new comments, and
Oh
it
my
kept bullying
gosh.
me. And there was like some times where someone told me to like hang myself and stuff like that. Like, it was a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. And a lot of times, like younger people, even though the generations are different, and that bullying is still around today. And it has transitioned more to like social media bullying. So people can just hide and they're cowards themselves.
Exactly, it happens a lot on TikTok.
Oh, I'm sure people just like they can judge anything, but really all that people are judging is something they dislike in themselves.
Yeah. And they're just bored. That
Your
too.
way.
And then it's like people bully because when people bully, they're not like doing like they're clearly not fine. Like no
Hmm.
happy, content person is going to bully. Like people, it's like basically someone who bullies, like you already know right there that they're having issues in their life. And it's just
Yes.
like when people are sad, they want to make other people sad. And that's when it creates a domino effect, which is like so bad that it has to be broken. And it's just like negative to negative. And it's like we need more people who are positive in that way and don't like literally try to like look down on others to put people down.
Right.
And
Misery loves company.
exactly. And so I really think that it's great that we're like kind of going deep like the stem of it of why we care. Actually, I don't. You actually don't think you did tell me how you felt like you have to have the nicest clothes and this and that and this,
Right.
but like, why do you think that you had that you wanted that? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh no, not at all. I think that because I had came from such a different environment and then going to this new school with all these wealthy people, well, their families were wealthy. So going to this different school and coming from a different background, I just felt I had to please and I felt I had to fit in. And that's
Oh.
such a bad thing. Is just like you should never have to have that feeling of you have to fit in to be likable or anything like that. So I think that's where I was at in the beginning of I just wanted to be liked by these new people. I just wanted to fit in.
Actually, I completely get that. It's a lot where human like basically like being accepted. Everybody
Yes.
in this world wants to be accepted, and it's just a human nature thing. And honestly, the sad thing about like like living in your hometown or whatever is that there's only so many people in your hometown, and a lot of people may have the same different mindset. So if someone is usually the outsider, someone who has like a certain different personality and different traits that aren't fitting into their environment, so they get bullied for that. And
Right.
I honestly think like that's a lot what happened with me is I'm a very bubbly person. Either people love me or they hate me. There's like no in between.
Yes.
Like that's just how I like that's just my personality. And so I'm not gonna act like I'm someone I'm not. And so I feel like when people also call me annoying and weird and stuff, like I felt like I had to change myself because I like wow, I'm annoying and weird. I really am trying my best to not be like that or whatever. Um
Right.
so but people think I'm annoying because I'm bubbly and I do talk a lot, but that's also just because when the ADHD kicks in,
Yeah.
that's just how I am, and I have a lot of anxiety. But I honestly, since I moved to Florida, I actually moved here because I did a Disney college program, and that's where I found like
Exciting.
yeah. So I met me that was my first time really being putting myself in a setting where everybody is diverse, like there's people from different states, people from different countries that does this
Right.
program. So it me leaving my hometown for a program really opened my eyes. It truly opened my eyes. And like I know a lot of people in my hometown, my family didn't really understand why I left. Like when I went to the program, I wasn't really planning on staying here permanently. I was well first I did the program when I was a senior in college, and I went back home because I had to finish school. I had like one more semester. I didn't want to like drop out. So I had one more
Mm-hmm.
semester. And then I came back. So I just had to wait a little bit. But when I went there, I felt so accepted by the people there. And that's what I love
Yes.
about working for Disney. It's just that everybody there like is pretty accepting. Like I mean, of course there's drama like here and there because it's just
Human nature.
exactly. But overall, like I don't really have problems with people or anything like that. There's not really like drama or anything because everyone's so accepting and care about each other, and that's just a part of the culture of the company, and I just love it. And I just love how what the way Disney recruits is that of course there's Florida natives that work for the company, but if you have you ever been to Disney World by any chance?
I haven't.
Disneyland?
No.
Okay, so
How
no.
sad.
Well, you definitely should come to Disney World sometime. Just saying. Anyway, uh, when the world's is kind of back on its toes.
Safer.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it now, obviously. But yeah, no. If you were to go there, you would see on people's name tags that it shows, like, of course, their name, and underneath it would show where they're from.
Oh,
So,
that's
which
awesome.
is awesome. So if you were to go to Disney, you would look at people's name tags and you would see people all different places. It's really cool. And one big reason why Disney has that on their name on the name tag is because it's a conversation starter. Because
Right.
exactly, because if people see, oh, you're from here, and they just talk about this, or if they're curious, like, oh, you're from this country, and it's just a great conversation starter. And
Yeah.
also it's just really smart to for a company to recruit people from different backgrounds, because that's what makes them a really good company, is that you're getting different ideas from everybody from a
Right.
different point of
Different
view.
cultures.
Exactly. So that's why they have the international program. I actually was in in the college program. You can take classes, and it's like facilitated by like Disney cast member, which is actually really cool.
That is cool.
And the actual classes, that the classes literally have a little Disney magic in it, so it wasn't really boring. The classes. So I had one class. It was, I believe, organizational leadership, and we're in groups, and we had to work on like this long paper that was like 10 pages or whatever, about, I forgot what it was about, but there's like 5 people in each group, and I was the only American in that group. So when we
Wow.
all were figuring out who was gonna do which job in the paper, they all look at me and they're like, okay, so Justine's gonna be the editor, and I'm like, why am I being volunteered? I was like, why am I being volunteered the editor? And they're like, because you're the only person here whose first language is English. And I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
oh my gosh, you're so right. And it's crazy because with my mindset, if I was in a typical college room or whatever, just in class, I would be like, why am I being volunteered? Like, that's kind of rude, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
volunteering me as tribute. So,
Mm.
but when they volunteered me, I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I don't feel like it was rude or anything. Like, it made some actual logical sense.
Almost a
Um,
proud moment too.
yeah, and it just felt really, it was like kind of like, it was like, oh wow, you're so bright. I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. So it was just amazing, like just meeting from all over the place.
Yes.
And
Have you ever been to California?
I went twice. I went for VidCon in Anaheim, and I
Exciting.
also went to Disneyland while I was there, because I mean, I get in for free, so why not, right?
Of
I
course.
And then I went to San Francisco for a trip, so that was a lot of fun. I really like California, and I would love to like live there, like just to have that experience, but it's just so expensive, and it's
Right,
just
it's
not
definitely overpriced. I just enjoy the diversity that's there. Like you're saying, with all the different backgrounds within your Disney community, like that's how I'm sure you witnessed California being, because there's just everybody, all different types of characters, different cultures, different backgrounds, just different personalities, and it's so accepted there. Like,
exactly
there's hardly any judgment except for the typical, in LA and
Hollywood.
that. Yes.
Yeah, no,
But I did
definitely.
want to just throw that in there. Like, it's amazing to have that part of, like, the West Coast. I've never been on the East Coast, but the West Coast is very diverse and mostly accepting.
Yeah, I've been noticing like the West Coast people are so different. Like when I talk to them, like I see a definitely a huge difference in character, like versus West Coast and East Coast. And then I was in the West Coast in October. I was in Arizona for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I that was fun, like just meeting people there. And I just feel like it's also just a different environment too. Like over there, the mountains and all of that was like you
Yes.
can literally see mountains from just like on your highway. Like I thought that was really cool. And I don't really see, I mean, right now Florida is pretty much flat, so I don't see mountains around here. But in like New York area, like the New York State area, there's like, there's
Oh,
mountains and
yes.
stuff like that, but it's not like something where I didn't live in an area where I can just drive on like a road and see a mountain. But I did live in an area growing up where I can drive on the highway and see New York City skyline. Like that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't really know how lucky I was, because honestly, like me living by New York was just like whatever to me, because it was something that I was used to. And then
Yeah.
now I'm in Orlando, and I live right by, Disney World, and now it's just like whatever to me too.
I
So,
know, I'm sure.
and I
That's
know
like
people
me in Las Vegas with the Las Vegas Strip. Like, that's such an attraction for tourists. And then here I am,
exactly.
see it every day.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like my friend, one of my really good friends, she just moved to Vegas, and I know I'm going to take a trip there, when everything, calms down and stuff like that.
Right.
That's like one of my next trip that's on my list that I'll be
Oh, can't
traveling.
wait to meet you in person.
Yeah, so I definitely know down the road we'll be meeting each other because, yeah, so I already have plans. It's just, COVID is obviously stopping us. So,
Yes.
it's COVID just needs to stop, especially since you told me like you are in the high risk. I definitely would not want to meet you right now.
Oh, yeah.
I would
Thank you so
never,
much.
yeah, I would never do anything to risk that, obviously. So yeah, we'll wait until, the world kind of gets back on its feet. But I
Yes.
mean, at least it is definitely looking up. At least we have like the vaccine. Um,
Exactly.
so at least we have that.
Even here, I don't know about Miami, I'll ask you after, but here in Las Vegas, specifically in like our county, our recovery rate from COVID cases has now gone up to 93%,
Hmm.
which is great because in the beginning, even all the way up until like November, we were sitting down in like the 60% recovery rate. So that's brightening to know that it's getting better.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I've been seeing like I have an app where I can see like the cases live and all of that. Well, not really live. I mean, I'm sure it
Hmm.
refreshes like every couple of hours.
Yeah.
And I've been noticing that as of right now, the cases have been going down, but then again, like, it's always up and down. And I do know that it's mostly up when there's like holiday stuff or things where it's going to attract a lot of people. So I'm kind of hoping that, and I've been noticing less deaths, which is good because, vaccines,
Yes.
I'm sure that's really what the vaccine's for, is to prevent deaths. It's not going to prevent the virus,
Of
just the
course.
severity of the actual virus itself. Because honestly, COVID's probably never going to go away. Like the actual virus, like it's going, I mean, I'm not going to say never say never, but
Right.
it's just
It's something we're learning to deal with just as much as the
exactly just like the
flu.
flu, exactly, just like the flu and
Hmm.
other diseases that we have in this book. Like there's thousands of these diseases out there, so it's just kind of something where we know it's going to be there, and it's not going to go extinct anytime soon because there's like so many people in this world. It's pretty much almost nearly impossible for it to go zero, you know what I mean?
Especially with all the new strains coming out, like from
Yeah,
it mutating, that's crazy.
exactly. So I think really just the focus is just people to get the vaccine so we don't, or not people, we don't go extinct pretty
Right.
much.
But I'm
um
so glad it's getting better because even with like mental health,
oh yeah.
for me, staying home, it can get so depressing. It's like every day is a repetitive day because you just get up and you can't go live your average life.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I am able to cope with it and keep myself occupied. But there's so many people out there who just, they were so used to, like we discussed earlier, living that like 9 to 5 life and going to work, going home, cooking, and repeating the same cycle
It's
the next
horrible.
day. Yeah.
It's truly horrible. I hate it. And I mean, then again, some people like, like the routines. I mean, routine is good to a certain extent because when you have routine,
Hmm.
you have less anxiety because you know what's gonna like, okay, my day is gonna play out like this. But
Right.
also just like literally always like eventually you're gonna get tired of the routine.
Of
And
course.
yeah, so that's a big thing. And have you ever like did you watch SpongeBob growing up?
Yes, of
So
course.
did you like Squidward? We just all feel Squidward now.
Yes, we do. Oh my gosh.
And do you remember that one scene? Oh my goodness. It was when like this one character, it would show a scene where the person would get up with the alarm would ring, they'll go to work
Oh
into
yeah.
their cubicle, there'll be traffic, and then go into their and they're like and then the wife be like, honey, ready for bed, and then the light would go off and it'll just be all over again.
Oh, I know.
do
So
you
repetitive and
do you remember that scene at all?
I do remember that scene. Everyone's all frumpy.
Oh my god. And that's like it's just a lot of it's not celebrated, but it's kind of like, oh, I got a 9 to 5, I've made it. Like that's like people's
Yeah,
mindset right now. But I do feel like people, it is changing. Is that people now, since social media is such an amazing tool, is that they're trying to get out of there and be their
absolutely.
own boss. And like, that's what I'm trying to do.
Same here.
So I
We're
mean,
doing
that's how
it.
we met, is us being like, collaborating together as like small businesses and being
So exciting. That was a fun event we did.
yeah, I'm really happy that we did that. I really hope, yeah, I do know I'm gonna do it again with Pia, and so I'm really excited for that. It was a lot of fun. It
Same.
was also like a good networking opportunity.
Right, it was. We met each other. Here we are. Now we're like good friends.
Now we're podcasting together. Yeah, and then I also collaborating with Brittany on something else that I'm not going to announce yet. So
Exciting.
yeah, so it's just been really fun. Like I think it's just because we're all like-minded people in the group, so we just all
Yeah.
were on like the same level, and we all had like the same
Type
mission.
of goals.
We had
Yeah.
the same goals, and that's like a big thing. Is that I really do am trying my best to surround myself with people who are doing that, because you're more likely to hit those goals if you are friends with people who are doing the same thing. And
Yes.
it's kind of hard to be around people who don't have that vision, and saying that there's
Right.
it's like honestly in my soul it's kind of like hard, but I'm the kind of person where I'll be friends with anybody as long as they're nice to me. Like I'm not picky when it comes to friends. That's just kind of how I am, because I just feel, I mean, obviously if someone's mean to me, like screw them, but I was always brought up
Yeah.
that like as long as someone's nice to me, like there's no, I mean, obviously, if there's someone who's not on my same level, I'm just not gonna like go out and be, let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that. Like, I'm just not going to be like, you can't be my friend. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm very open with like no matter who you are or what you do, as long as you respect me, I can respect you and we can be friends. But I'm also very like closed off in a friendship aspect of like I have a lot of acquaintances but not many friends.
Yeah, I have a lot of acquaintances too, actually. Ever since I've been like doing like the podcast and the One Hope stuff, it really put me out of my comfort zone with like talking to people. And I see, the thing is with me, I don't really have a problem like if I'm already talking to people, I can talk. Like you can clearly tell that from me. Like I can keep going and we'll be talking forever. But when it
Right.
comes to me like taking the step by like messaging somebody or going to somebody and saying hey or whatever, like that's where my anxiety kicks in. But with me doing all what I'm doing, I need to talk to people. Like I
Right.
can't, like if I don't talk to people, I'm not gonna get anywhere. Like even
Exactly.
if I'm just in my room doing YouTube videos, like I know I'm not talking to people when I'm filming or editing and stuff, but like if people are engaging with my content, I have to talk to people.
Mhm.
In order for me to build a community, I have to talk to people.
Yeah, I do experience a lot of anxiety in that aspect too. Like even with you, prior to us just getting on the Zoom call, like I'm the type of person who I will overthink everything, and overthinking just is anxiety of like, oh my gosh, like I'm nervous, I'm a little shy, am I not going to say the right things,
Really?
But
I didn't think that of you at all. You
yes.
seemed very like, you didn't seem shy at all. You're like, hey.
Aw, yay, thank you. Well, you're so comfortable to talk to,
Oh,
and I knew you'd be comfortable to talk to. It's just getting there. Like, you have an appointment to do something or a meeting, and
oh
it's like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, and I have to do it. But then once you do it, you realize, like, it wasn't that.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. And that's also like, going for an interview kind of thing. It's like being intimidated by like the person. Or like here we go, going back to fearing what people are gonna think about you. Even though like
Yeah.
I do know in an interview session you kinda do have to care about that, just because if you want the job, you gotta care about what they think about you.
Yeah.
So that's gonna obviously stay like that, because it just for me.
You want to show the best part of your person.
Exactly. But for me, like, I mean, I've been going on a lot of Zoom calls with people and really, getting myself out there and talking to different people. And I, I don't know. I mean, I guess I just don't get nervous like I used to. I think for me, it's like the way I cope is just like, okay, it's going to sound really, really, really weird. It's going to sound so
Okay, let's
weird,
hear
but
it.
here we go. So when bad things happen to me, I try not to just cry about it. I just think about it like, you know what? I didn't die. And that's all that matters.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That is a very optimistic way to look at it.
yeah, I'm alive. Like I'm alive. I'm breathing. I still have hope here. I can keep moving forward. And so that's what I
Yes.
think every time something bad happens to me. That is what I think. Like if I like if I fail at doing something, or like I said, like, you know, the unexpected can happen. It's like you have to really count your blessings and realize that I'm still alive today and I have an opportunity to keep going and to keep changing and to keep evolving, and it's not over. And so that's kind
Exactly.
of how I think about it. And I was like, you know what, like obviously it's normal to cry about things. Like I'm really big about, you know, feeling your sadness, and it's just
Yes.
I'm not the kind of person where like you have to be happy all the time. You know what I mean? Like if
No.
you're sad, be sad. You know, feel it. Like your body has to feel these emotions. If they don't feel these emotions, they're gonna manifest into anger, and then like
Yeah.
that's not good. That is so unhealthy. And that's another thing too, is that when you are like working in a professional setting, like you have to be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to keep this face on for that environment.
Yeah, and then like for me, like I talk to guests every single day. Like my life can be falling apart in the background, but I still have to be you know what I mean? Like I have to pretend
Yeah.
that like, you know, my life's not falling apart kind of thing, you know what I mean? But I feel like so bad for the people who like work in person, because they have to do a fake smile. They have to.
Yeah.
And when I used to work inside the theme parks. When I used to work inside the theme parks, I was working at an attraction, and I was working in one position where you don't really do much, but it's also a safety critical position. So you have to be super focused. So it's like a certain, like you say basically the particular position, like there's 13 positions of the ride, but that particular
Mm-hmm.
position I was in, it's like you do click one button, but you have to stay focused and watch out for certain things. And it's like a huge safety critical position. And it's like they
I'm
tell us
sure.
what to watch out for, what to do if this happens. So I was so focused, and it's also kind of like soul crushing to just be literally just standing there and staring for like 40 minutes straight. So obviously I'm not going to be smiling every second, because it's like your muscles can't do that. So obviously
Right.
I'm not like frowning, like crying or whatever, but I have a straight face. So one guy came up to me and he was like, "Why aren't you smiling? You should be smiling." Like I'm like, I was like, "What?" I was like, "Are you?"
Right.
And it's like that happens so often with Disney cast members, is that they get that a lot because of the whole idea of like what people are coming for. And it's obviously, yeah, we have to put up a front, but it's just like the fact that someone,
You're real people as
exactly, is that when
well.
people call people out on that. And it's happened to like most people that I know, is that the guests will call people out on that. And it's just like, obviously we try our best to smile and keep the magic going, but it's like we're also human, you know?
Of course. Yeah.
And there was like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just think that people probably think they're being funny too, but they're not. Like you don't know what that person's going through. And then
Yeah,
and then for
absolutely.
me, like personally, like I wasn't sad at the time. I think, like I said, it was just because I had to be a straight face because I'm human. But like, I think I was also tired too because I was probably working a lot. But it's just like
Yeah.
you don't know if someone was at their breaking point, and
You don't know if their family member just died. You don't know if they just got kicked out of their house. You don't
you
know if they're
don't
just
like you really.
severely depressed.
Exactly. And then usually like we just take out all of our anger and like in the break room and stuff. And then if a leader sees you doing that, they say please just go on, like they basically like you don't have to work for a certain period of time. They want you to cool down first and like take a walk or whatever, which is good.
That's
I really
good.
like that, because there's been times where I would have like mental breakdowns at work. I wouldn't do it in front of people, obviously, but like I remember one time my leader saw me crying in the bathroom and she's like, "You can go on a walk," and I was like, "Thank you."
Oh, that's important. That's good that they know the importance of your mental health, and like you can only show up and do your job as good as you're feeling. Okay, so going back to the whole caring about what people think and having confidence and all of that, I think my turning point after like a few years into high school, after caring so much day to day what people thought of what I was wearing, how I looked, how I acted, and then once I hit that depressed state from things I was going through at home, I think that was what helped me stop caring, because I was so focused on, even though it's negative, I was so focused on the problems I was experiencing and trying to help myself come out of that, that I was so introverted, and just I started noticing like it doesn't matter what other people think, because they don't know what I'm going through. They don't know exactly how I'm feeling. So since they don't truly know my person, why do I have to fake my person? And I think it was just like an epiphany I had while being depressed of, you don't have to care what others think, and you don't have to live up to somebody else's expectations. And the more I kind of kept going through school and all the things I was going through, I started finding more confidence in just being purely myself and letting my entire personality come out to those I was surrounding myself with. I just found that it felt so much better to like not fake anything and just be 100% myself. And I just found like I found happiness, and like I don't know how to explain it. I just found like, oh my god, this is the right way to live your life, is to not care or mind what others think or how they view you. As long as you're showing up being 100% yourself, you know who you are, then that brings so much confidence knowing that you're doing what you can to be the best version of yourself. So I kind of was able to grow out of that, of caring what others thought.
Exactly. And then people are basically putting their energy towards the wrong thing. They're thinking that if they go out with like a full face of makeup and looking good and worrying so much about how they look and being a people pleaser, they feel like, okay, that's successful and that is, I made it. But in reality,
Right.
the real success is being free and not caring what other people think, because people don't understand that you're literally are being trapped. You are trapped, and despite if they think they're not, they truly are. And then that's another
Yes.
reason what that can turn into manifesting into depression, and then also just anxiety of being a perfectionist. And people don't realize that their behavior that they're doing that they think that are actually benefiting them are actually killing them.
Exactly. That is because you're just suppressing your true person, and it's not gonna, it's just only gonna manifest into negative.
Yeah, I feel like I started healing that when I left high school, because in high school you're literally like in a fishbowl, and those are like the people that you're associating yourself with, and they're basically the same people for like 4 years or whatever, and you just
Yes.
always want to please them because there's not really much of an outlet of other people. I mean, of course, I'm sure like people from other schools or whatever, but either way, like people forget or don't realize that there's more to the world than their hometown, than their home state. And I think that
Right.
people feel like they are pressured into being someone they're not, is because people don't want to feel alone, and people want people to like them, and that's just human nature. And but now, since I left high school, went to college and just met other people in the state, and just overall, I realized that there's you have more access to a bigger network, so probability wise of people liking you is higher than it was in high school. And that's just statistics and such. And then now, since I moved to a different state and meeting other people, and also the power of social media, there's opening up a door for an ocean of fish. And then you realize, like, okay, wow, there is so many
Yeah.
different people out here with different perspectives and point of views. And that, like, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to act like someone I'm not, so this particular audience or whatever group of
Mm-hmm.
people like me, like, I'm not going to,
Yeah.
because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be myself and let the people who like me come to me. And then I've just never been happier. And then I'm just living by that. It's because, like, I have enough people in my life that are accepting of me, and the people who don't accept me, that's fine. Bye. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many
Right.
other people in my life.
They're
Like,
not gonna benefit you.
exactly. It's like, why do I, like, there's so many people pleasers out in this world, and they feel like if someone doesn't like them, they have anxiety and depression. But now, if you get to the point of your life where you just don't care anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
that is where it's like, okay, now you made it, when you don't care. And that's freedom right there.
Yes.
And it's just crazy, and it's really sad to seeing people still thinking in that mindset. So I'm kind of hoping that people listening to this, if they feel this way, is to get yourself out of that old mindset that was taught to you, and get yourself in that new mindset of what we are trying to create as a generation. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
think we are going to a brighter future, is because people are thinking a certain way. It's a mix of being a human, being in your environment, and being conditioned to think a certain way. Thanks for coming to my
Absolutely.
TED Talk. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Violet, for being on my podcast. I had a really good talk
Thank you
with
for
you.
having me. I love talking to you. Like, I feel like there's so much more we could talk
Yeah,
about. We'll have
I think we
to have another
no,
episode.
seriously, 100%. I also think we should just get on random Zoom calls and just like talk, because you and I can like we
Yes.
actually like had to like stop our Zoom meeting because we just kept talking. And I'm like, yeah, let's just
I
take it over to the
know.
podcast because we could just keep going on. So yeah, so I really do appreciate you being on the podcast. So my podcast is every Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So thanks for everyone who's listening, and definitely check out my weekly podcast. But yeah, and I hope you guys all have a great day. And thanks so much for listening.
Yes, thank you, everybody.